I have for some reason chosen to film this on a day where my throat is really inflamed and really sore, so sorry if my voice is a little raspy today. But welcome to episode 50 of Fate Makes Jewellery Edition. I cannot believe that it has almost been an entire year since I started this series. I started literally on Valentine's Day this year, so still a few months till we hit that, I guess, but still, I don't know, 50 episodes, like, that is pretty crazy. I have not stuck to 50 parts of anything, and that is why for this very special edition of Fate Makes Jewellery Edition, we are not just making one piece today, not just two, we are making 3 different Fate Makes today. Technically, I don't know if they will all be today because it is already like almost 11 p.m. at night, but if you would like to go catch up on the first 49 episodes, then please head over to my TikTok or my shorts page. You also get to see my lovely face while we pick out these options, and I will give you my live reactions to what we get, and I don't know, kind of give you my thought process as the ideas come to me instead of just like telling you guys in a voiceover after the fact, because I don't know, maybe that's interesting to you guys. So let's just get right into picking these first options. Going into it, if I could give not obviously a prediction, but like if it was up to me, what am I most in the mood to make right now? I'm not too bothered about what type of jewelry we get to make today. I'm also excited to see what aesthetics we get to play with. And in fact, oh my god, I literally was almost going to forget to do this, but we have actually just remembered just in time. I actually want to add a few more options before we start this. What I was gonna say was that I have recently just been like getting more into different aesthetics and just like, I don't know, exploring the whole world of different aesthetics, and just like, I just feel like I have quite an emotional connection to a lot of different aesthetics in a weird way, because I am a very nostalgic person, and like anything that triggers the tiniest memory from my past is like enough to make me love something and just like feel so deeply for it. So that has particularly been the case with me rediscovering the Fruitiger era aesthetic, which I didn't even know that was like the name of an aesthetic. Like that was just a memory from my childhood, and that is like what I find so fascinating about like learning about all these aesthetics, because it's literally like putting a name to something that you didn't even know had a name for it. But something about Fruitiger era just makes me just, I just want to like chew on it. I don't know. There's a lot more I've also been looking into, but I cannot remember the names of them off the top of my head, so I shall do some digging. I'm gonna write some more options, and then we will be back for the actual start of Fate Makes episode 50. Okay, we are back in business. Oh my god, I'm nervous. Okay, let's see the first type of jewelry that we are making today. A fern charm. Okay, that's a nice easy one to start out with. I'm not mad at that. For the aesthetic, we are going to be making a abstract fern charm. Not too sure how that's gonna go, but we'll see. Only because there's like not that much variation in what you can do with fern charms, whereas if it was like a necklace or something, obviously you've got quite a lot of creative freedom. Whereas fern charm, you sort of got like the strap style ones, or just like the little hanging charm style ones. So we might have to go abstract more in terms of like the charms and beads and stuff we use. I don't know. Kind of depends on what colors we get, so let's see that next. 2 colors, okay. It's kind of annoying because every time I get an aesthetic that like it doesn't actually really matter how many colors we get, we'll always end up rolling the lowest numbers, but then if we get like a minimalist piece, we'll always end up with like 6 colors, so I don't know why the universe always does that to me. I also just realized I forgot to put the dice on the actual board. You guys are distracting me. Okay, our 2 colors, let's really hope that they actually go together. Okay, I feel like we haven't really had a color like this actually. I'm excited because I do know that I have a lot of beads in this color that I haven't had a chance to use that much. Okay, I don't know what color I'm like hoping that is gonna come out there. I don't really know what would go with this other than just like another shade of purple or pink. Oh, well, that is perfect because we got another shade of pink. We got a actually like very similar rosy kind of color along with our fuchsia, so I feel like this is actually gonna be very easy. I actually kind of feel like any metal color would work for this, especially because it's abstract obviously, so. Okay, we got antique red. That's like the last one I was kind of hoping for, but it's alright. To be fair, antique red is always the one that I'm hoping for the least, just because we literally have like two materials actually in that color because it's just so hard to find. So I've literally got like one charm option and one wire option, but you know what, we will see what we can do. That is why it is a challenge. My god, my throat hurts so bad. Why did I decide to film this today? Okay, for our first wild card of the episode, we have got symmetrical. Okay, right. See, like, all of this works almost like too well to where I don't really know how we're gonna make this very abstract, because we have to use like very, very cohesive colors, a metal color that gives us no charm options or anything like that to kind of work with, and we have to make it symmetrical, which obviously takes away from the abstract kind of side of things. So honestly, no idea where we're really gonna go from here. So since I was kind of stuck on this one, I started out by just drawing a few sketches before deciding on a final design, because obviously the abstract and symmetrical elements were kind of writing on the shape of the fern charm rather than the beads themselves. So I drew out one of each version, one of the strap style fern charms and one of the just like hanging beaded charms. I ended up going for one of the beaded charm style ones, but I changed the design when it came to the actual final design, but that is just because I didn't know what beads we actually had to work with yet. So I grabbed out my bead trays and started making a little bead suit, and luckily I did actually have some kind of obscure abstract kind of shaped beads, like these mauvey purple kind of pearl beads. As you already know, we were very, very limited for antique red supplies, but luckily one of the two charm options that we had did actually fit the abstract theme. So I ended up going for a kind of swirl and star theme, because when do I not take the opportunity to do that? And then I also cut a little piece of my antique red wire, because I actually wanted the middle strand to be made of wire instead of hanging beads, because obviously we can bend wire into whatever shape we want, so I felt like that could kind of help with the abstractness. And then I just messed around with the rest of the beads until I had my final design. First step in the making process was making our actual fern charm strap, because the only ones I've got have got silver clasps, so obviously I had to switch it to antique red. So I literally just removed the silver parts and replaced it with an antique red crimp bead and a lobster clasp. Then for the two symmetrical beaded strands, I just took some antique red eye pins and prepped all of those with my one-step looper, and then literally just attached those all together with some jump rings. Then onto our wire strand, I again just made a loop in the end with my one-step looper, threaded on all of my pink beads, and I love how glittery this turned out. Looped off the other side and then bent it with my fingers into a little wave. Then it was just a case of assembling everything together, adding my little swirl charm, clipping it all onto the fern charm strap, and here was the first piece all finished. Hello, we are back to pick our options for piece number 2. I haven't actually made piece number 1 yet, because obviously I haven't moved since we picked the last options, but I don't know, did it turn out well? I hope so. Now for this one, I'm actually going to be a little bit more careful what I wish for, because obviously for the last one, I was like hoping for options that all went together, and that actually ended up kind of backfiring for us a little bit. So for this one, you know what, universe, give it to me. Let's just have like a crazy mishmash of everything and just see what we can do with that. Because my logic is that since we're doing 3, I feel like the first one is just like our warm-up, the second one is where we can sort of be a bit risky and then, you know, figure out something actually good by the third one. But this one I kind of feel like we can have a little bit of fun. So for our piece, we'll be making a hand chain. Ooh, okay, that's fun. For our aesthetic, we have got Renaissance. Okay, that could actually be kind of fun. I feel like for a hand chain that actually kind of works and feels old-timey, if that makes sense. Okay, we've got 3 colors for this one. Ooh, okay, right, we've got orange. I don't know why I got excited about that, because I actually have no idea what I'm gonna do with that. Okay, we got a like khaki green, which I'm not gonna lie is like the worst possible color to go with the orange. That looks so ugly. Hating this so far. What have we got for the third color to please just pull it back? Okay, you know what, actually, that actually did tie it together pretty nicely. We got an emerald sort of greeny, like dark teal. That is actually a very pretty color, and I actually do feel like that tied everything up quite nicely. Okay, right, you guys probably aren't gonna believe me because I was just complaining so much about how ugly this color palette was, but my phone loves to do this really fun thing where it just decides to like delete everything that I've just recorded, and that is what it has done right now. And so we are actually gonna have to start this board again. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that heartbroken because I did not really have that many ideas for this one so far, but that is kind of a shame. I'm not gonna lie, this has happened so many times before. So many have just like ended up in the graveyard for this exact reason, and it is so heartbreaking, especially on times where I've got like really good options. I've had like a really good idea for it and then just not been able to do it. Okay, right, let's do this again. Okay, piece 2, take 2, let's go. We will actually be making a charm bracelet. Okay, that could be pretty fun as long as we don't get antique red for the metal color, because then we will be screwed because I've literally got one option for that. Technically I could make them out of clay, but I really just can't be bothered doing that right now. For our aesthetic, I really hope we get a good one for this because otherwise this is going to be a really boring make. Abstract again. Okay, right, we are not doing that. The amount of freaking pieces of paper in here and the fact that I picked that same one twice is actually very, very unlikely, which almost makes me feel like I should pick it, but it is too late now. Renaissance, okay. What the hell is happening? Okay, right, I am actually very weirded out by that. I'm not joking. Look at how many freaking options are in here. Literally freaking tons of them, and we just picked the same 2 twice. That's weird, but anyway, synchronicities, you know. For our colors, we will be working with 4 different colors for this, which is kind of a lot. I didn't really think about the fact that this could turn out worse than the original options that we got. Ooh, that is a very pretty blue color. Oh my god, that is literally like my favorite color ever. In fact, you can tell because it's literally the exact same color as my nails. Okay, we've got a turquoise teal kind of color, which obviously is going very nicely so far. And then brown, I actually do very much like the teal and brown color combination. It just very much reminds me of my mum. That is like her signature color combination in my mind. And last but not least, that one just flipped out on me, so we will take that one, and it is another brown. Okay, right, actually pausing for a second. This is actually like starting to genuinely freak me out because this is piece number 2, take 2. We picked abstract for the second time, we picked renaissance for the second time, we got 2 different shades of blue, and we just got 2 different shades of brown. I don't know what the hell that means, but I feel like the universe is watching me. For our metal, I would hope that we get like a bronze or gold or silver, or basically any other than antique red once again. Silver, okay, right, that is actually probably the best option we could have got for a charm bracelet because that is one that we have by far got the most options for. So I'm pretty excited about this one now. But obviously I say that right before we pick our wild card, which please don't screw it up, please don't screw it up, please don't screw it up. Okay. You actually can't make this up. We got symmetrical again for the second time. I don't know whether to keep it because it just feels like the universe is screaming at me, or whether to put it back because I don't want to like double up the same options because that feels boring. I don't know. I'm gonna put it back. If it's meant to be, then we'll pick it a 3rd time. I don't know. Okay, right. For our wild card, we have to use a found object, which honestly, I feel like for this one could actually work. I've got a few ideas and I have actually been like collecting different things that I could use as found objects in case this wild card came up. So I do know that I have got a few different options that we could use. That is all from me for now. I will see you guys back here for piece number 3. Since we had to include a found object in this piece, I obviously wanted to get that done, dusted, out of the way first. And luckily I've been collecting a few things in this little glass box for just the occasion. So I had looked through there to see if I could find anything that would fit the Renaissance aesthetic and also be small enough to fit on a charm bracelet. And luckily I did manage to find this little green crystal heart that broke off an old spoon. And obviously since we already discovered that the first blue that we picked out was the exact same shade of blue as my nail polish, I took the opportunity to just use my nail polish as the paint and varnish, I guess. Literally just painting the crystal heart with the nail polish and then gluing it onto a pendant base with some UV resin. So that is how I made this charm and how we incorporated the found object. And then I had to consult the bead trays for the rest of the design. But obviously I just kind of built it around the heart charm. I used some heart bead frames and some little rope bead frames. And I did get to use a lot of beads that I don't normally get to use in this mix. This was a fun one. And then once again, I just moved around the beads until I liked the design and drew it out. Obviously, we've already started the making process with the heart charm, and that was actually kind of the hardest part of this making process. We only had to prep a couple of the beads with some ball head pins, turn those into charms as well, and then the rest of it was literally just stringing the beads onto some beading wire, which I started and finished off with a crimp bead. You just thread on one crimp bead, one crimp end, and then another crimp bead. Thread the wire back down through the crimp end and the first crimp bead, and then crimp them with your pliers, and then you can start threading your beads.
I finished off the other end in the same way, added a lobster clasp and an extender chain, and here was the finished charm bracelet.
Welcome back for piece number 3, and I swear to God, if things start coming up in threes in this, I am actually going to have to stage my house. Anyway, for our final type of jewelry for this episode, we will be making an anklet. Ooh, fun. What aesthetic of anklet will we be making? I don't really have a preference. I feel like anything could kind of work for this. Food inspired? Okay, that's probably the last one that I would have chosen, but yeah, sure. When I hear food inspired, I think of like really like gross like fast food, but I guess like fruit and stuff would also technically count. Okay, colors we will be working with. Well, it went off camera, but we got 4. Those 4 colors will be a very light minty blue. Of course, we have to get the one color that just like is not in food ever. We got another blue. We actually got a dark blue for this one, so I'm really hoping that we just keep getting blues and then we can go for a blueberry theme, because that would be cute. Is the universe gonna be so kind? Damn, it actually is. Okay, right, that's... Okay. Right, I like specifically when I was cutting these out, I specifically only included one of each color so that we wouldn't get like repeats of the same color. Not only have we managed to somehow pick the exact same shade twice, guess what the freaking shade number is? I think the universe knows that this is a special episode. I don't think fate has literally ever been more true. And for our final color, it's, I mean, like, not far off. That is, I will take that. It's a very, very light minty green. Can definitely make do with that because obviously blueberries, leaves, like, do blueberries grow on trees, bushes? I'll have to do some research. Okay, now provided that we don't get a really ugly metal for this, we should be fine. I will be happy with silver, I will be happy with gunmetal, I would be happy with gold, maybe rose gold I can make work at push, but obviously, as always, if we get antique red, then we are screwed. So let's see what we get. Also, I have not had a single you choose in this entire episode. I'm pretty mad about that. Okay, cute, we got gunmetal. Okay, that's a fun one. I feel like we can make do with that. And finally, for our last wild card, we have got, okay, we got 1 bead type, which basically means that we can only use either like all round glass beads or all tube shaped beads or letter beads or whatever. Like, we just have to use 1 bead type. They can be different sizes as long as they're the same like type of bead and the same shape, I guess is a better way of explaining it. So that has definitely thrown a spanner in the works. However, I do still have a decent idea for this. Actually, do I? Now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking I actually have no idea what I was thinking because I kind of forgot about the whole food inspired bit, and in my head, as soon as we got all of the blues for the color scheme, I obviously just like decided on blueberries and just have like got in my brain that as long as we just use the color blue, then that counts as blueberries, but I don't really feel like counts. I feel like it has to be a little bit more on the nose than that. So actually, yeah, I take that back. This is actually going to be a little bit of a struggle because also gunmetal is another one that we don't have a ton of charm options for. So we're already pretty much limited to beads, and obviously now that we are only limited to 1 bead type, this is definitely going to be a difficult one actually. So let's see what we can do.
For my 1 bead type, I ended up going for round 8mm glass beads because they were the only ones that I had in all of the colors that we needed. Well, all of the blue colors, because then for the green, I actually was kind of cheeky and used these little leaf charms, which you kind of could argue are beads technically, but it's my game and I can do what I want, so I consider these to be charms, so it doesn't count as another bead type. And then to turn them into blueberries, I was actually very proud of myself for this idea. I think it's genius. I added a little flower-shaped gunmetal bead cap to each of the beads, just on one side of the beads, and then I added the leaf charms to the same side, looped them off on both sides, and that is how I made my little blueberries. So I repeated that for all of my different shades of blue. I had light blue, dark blue, and then a crackly one that's kind of a mixture of both. I then just connected them all together with jump rings. Also, important side note, don't use your nails as a pair of pliers because both of my thumbnails were in fact harmed in the making of this video. Added my fastenings, and here was the finished 3rd piece, which I think this one has to be my favorite. I just think it's so cute and works so well to say that it's such a simple design. But let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this special edition episode. We will be back to TikTok for episode 51 and onwards, so go follow my TikTok if you want to see more episodes like this, and thank you for being here for 50 episodes if you have already seen them. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next one.